that was only 64% of their donations. Progressive Insurance. Progressive does not give to politics, but some of their senior leaders do, and their senior leaders lean left. This has been WCPT telling you how you can shop blue.
Start off the new year on a healthier note by taking Active Liver supplements from New Nordic every day. Available online at Amazon or newnordicusa.com or at your local CVS, ShopRite, Meijer Grocery, or Wegmans.
AP News, I'm Mike Hempel. A former president could face contempt charges.
Former President Bill Clinton and his wife, former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, say they will refuse to comply with the congressional subpoena for them to testify in an investigation into Jeffrey Epstein. The Clintons are slamming a Republican-controlled committee's attempts for them to testify as legally invalid. Oversight Committee Chair James Comer has questions for the Clintons.
Jeffrey Epstein visited the White House 17 times while Bill Clinton was president. I've been in Congress 9 years. I think I've been to the White House 9 times in 9 years. Epstein was in the White House double the amount of time that I was under one president.
The Clintons told Comer he is on the cusp of a process literally designed to result in their imprisonment. Comer was asked if President Trump should testify.
He answers questions every day about Epstein.
Will you rule out?
Well, you can't bring in a current president.
Comer says he'll begin contempt of Congress proceedings next week against Bill and Hillary Clinton. Ed Donahue, Washington.
Days of demonstrations against immigration agents and a new lawsuit have left Minnesota tense. Federal officers sprayed eye irritant and dropped tear gas at activists today in Minneapolis. Students, meanwhile, walked out of a school in a Minneapolis suburb to protest the Trump administration's bold immigration sweeps. Thousands of New York City nurses have been on the picket lines for a second straight day after walking off their jobs at some of the city's leading hospitals. The union has accused one hospital of illegally firing 3 nurses. Another hospital has criticized what it describes as the union's reckless demands and troubling proposals in contract talks. The Supreme Court seems likely to uphold state laws barring transgender girls and women from playing on school athletic teams. This is AP News. A veteran NFL coach has announced his resignation.
The Mike Tomlin era in Pittsburgh is over. The longest tenured head coach in major American professional sports stepped down from his job leading the Steelers on Tuesday after yet another quick playoff exit. The announcement came a day after the end of his 19th season in Pittsburgh, where he was a relative unknown when he was hired to replace Bill Cowher in early 2007. Tomlin guided the Steelers to a Super Bowl title in 2008 and finished with a 193-114 and 2 regular season record. Team president Art Rooney II said in a statement that he was extremely grateful to Mike. I'm Gethin Coolbaugh.
UCLA's athletic department has received $17 million from late alumnus Lawrence Lane to benefit football and men's basketball. Lane, who died in December 2024, aimed to support the athletic department, which has faced significant debt. More news at apnews.com. I'm Mike Hempen. AP News.
This is 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and streaming worldwide at WCPT820.com. We are Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter. Now, your WCPT 820 weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Ray Miller. Cloudy skies tonight with scattered snow showers, a low temperature of 27 degrees with winds out of the northwest at 10 to 20 miles an hour. Wednesday, snow showers with a high temperature of 29 and northwest winds at 15 to 30 miles an hour. Thursday, sunshine, high temperature of 27. Friday, snow likely with a high of 37. Saturday, chance of snow with a high temperature around 21 degrees. That's the latest Chicago weather update. Right now, it's 45.
Hey, Clerk Elise, you got a guy who can fix my lamp?
I do. At the Township of Lyons Repair Cafe, neighbors help neighbors repair all sorts of things from lamps to vacuums. Little acts of mutual support that make a big difference.
Hey, Clerk Elise, you got a guy who can notarize documents?
The Township of Lyons has lots of notaries on staff ready to help.
Hey, Clerk Elise, you got a guy?
At the Township of Lyons, we are your guys. Whatever you need, we work to bring more resources right to you.
Check out the Township of Lyons online, Lyons with a Y, LyonsTownshipIL.gov.
WCPT 820, Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter.
Oh, with Patti Vasquez, Patti Vasquez. From global conflicts to greenhouse gases, the folks refusing to wear masks says Vasquez. And politicians getting caught grabbing ass, says she's driving it home with Patti Vasquez.
Thank you so much for joining us today. We are driving it home, and I hope that you are happy, healthy, and safe wherever you are today. Coming up in just a couple minutes, we are going to talk to Mayor Brandon Johnson. If you wanted to send any texts in, I might be able to get a chance to grab them from our text screen during our break in this conversation. And we're very excited to have the conversation and find out what's on his mind, what his priorities are, what his reaction is to what's going on both locally and nationally, of course, because there's a lot on our minds these days. So let me just say that it is an honor to talk to the mayor who, look, you know, whatever your opinions are, ultimately we have leadership in the city that's looking out for all of us. And joining us on the line, you know, we've had a lot of talented people come through the halls of our station as on-air talent and, of course, behind the scenes. And it's always nice to catch up with them and find out how they're doing. And I believe our next guest is now Mayor Brandon Johnson. Hey, Mayor, how are you doing today?
Hey, Patty, I'm doing very well. Thanks for asking, and Happy New Year.
Oh, Happy New Year. Look, first of all, let me just start with you personally, because, you know, this is something you took on. We had already had such major challenges in this city for decades, a lot of which you were familiar with your own personal experiences. And, of course, the work that you've done as Cook County Commissioner, as a teacher. We had come through a pandemic. This is new challenges. How do you approach these days of, like, what seems to be lawlessness when it comes to our federal government in our city, in the streets of our city?
Well, thank you for that question. And I think the first thing is that, you know, I'm always centering the values of our city in every decision that I make. And as you know, this is an incredibly diverse city with just a quite profound history as it relates to standing up for working people, immigrants from around the world, of course, and, you know, descendants of slaves through great migrations have come up to the north to find, you know, refuge and hope in this city. And so I stand on the shoulders of, you know, incredible leaders that have played, you know, a righteous role in the labor movement and the civil rights movement, for the women's suffrage. So all of that is really what, you know, as a former social studies teacher, and I keep that as my center and my guide. As long as we're remaining focused on our values, and that the ultimate goal is to build a better, safer, you know, city for everyone. That's what my approach has been, and that's what it will continue to be.
Because the president has a different take on what's happening in the city than what's really going on here. I want to let people know, in case they haven't been following the news, we have had historic crime reduction in the city of Chicago. Tell us a little bit about these numbers and the pathway that has helped us get here.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, this is my top priority, Patty, you know, to build safe communities across this city, especially, you know, neighborhoods that have been historically disinvested in. And look, one act of violence is one too many. One shooting is one too many. Same thing, one homicide is one too many. But what we have done differently over the course of my time as mayor, that we really have taken the partnerships seriously. You know, and the first started with ensuring that our local police department was stronger in their approach in terms of just internal communications, right? So that's, you know, our detectives bureau, which we promoted 200 more detectives over the course of my time, which I made a promise to do that. But the detectives bureau is communicating stronger with our, you know, chiefs of patrol, just communicating stronger with counterintelligence. All of the department, you know, our departments are working stronger together. And then ultimately they're partnering with our CVI workers. These are our community violence intervention workers that have historically have not been given the just due in terms of investment. And then I think finally between CPD and CVI actually both understanding their role in preventing violence, we've made investments in the areas where, you know, have long been neglected. Our youth employment, where we have seen, you know, unprecedented growth, over 30,000 summer jobs for young people. We've expanded our care program, crisis assistance response and engagement for mental health crises. And then, of course, we're building more affordable homes, investing in our public schools. So it's that collective full force of government approach where we're bringing these partnerships to the forefront. And that's why we're able to see, you know, the fewest amount of homicides in our city in 60 years.
Well, the Trump administration, of course, has tried to take credit for the numbers through Operation Midway Blitz, which, hey, folks, actually did not start until, August, September. And the reductions were already happening. How do you respond when you see that, like, the leaked DHS email celebrating your success?
Yeah, well, first of all, the fact that they are acknowledging that we are driving violence down in the city of Chicago, that is certainly a different tone that they've taken before. And you're absolutely right. The Midway so-called the Blitz did not occur until September, and he was attempting to take credit for summer violence reduction, which one thing for sure, Patty, it certainly expresses how beautiful our summers are, that the president still believes that the month of September counts as summertime shy. If there was a silver lining there, but the truth of the matter is that where, federal agents set up shop, we actually saw less decline in those particular communities. It actually made it less safe. And here's what we do know. What the president and what his administration is doing, it is not about safety, right? Because if it were about safety, he would not have cut over $830 million from violence prevention programs, right? He cut the ATF budget by 30%, eliminating essentially 1,400 positions there. ATF has worked with our local law enforcement to get illegal guns off the streets of Chicago, of which most of them are being trafficked in from states that actually voted for Donald Trump. This past year alone, I believe we removed over 11,000 illegal weapons off the streets of Chicago. So, yeah, it's obviously, disingenuous is the polite way, but it's basically a lie for this president to take credit for anything that is being done in our city, because everything that he has done certainly has made it very difficult for working people to be able to thrive and succeed in this environment.
One of the things that you mentioned was investing in our communities. And I've talked a lot about how we have eliminated so many units over the decades, converting 2 and 3 flat buildings into single home use, tearing down buildings, which causes a tremendous lack of affordable housing for folks. So tell us about this new program, or this breaking ground on the Missing Middle Housing Initiative in North Lawndale.
Yeah, really proud of this program. One of the things that I made very clear as we work to build the safest, most affordable big city in America, we have to build more housing. That's the way to drive costs more favorably towards working people. We put together the largest investment for economic development and housing in the history of Chicago with our $1.25 billion bond investment. And as part of that investment, we have this program called the Missing Middle. And so we are going into communities like North Lawndale and Inglewood in particular, where we have large swaths of vacant land where we could incentivize developers to build in neighborhoods like North Lawndale for owner-occupied multi-units, right? So instead of single-family homes, to your point, the dismantling of 2 flats and 3 flats, that we are essentially implementing that form of housing where you have individuals who can live on one level and then rent on the other levels. And we have seen just an incredible response from many developers, of which many of them come from Black and brown communities that are also benefiting from this type of investment. And the goal, of course, again, is to repopulate these neighborhoods with working people. And look, we had our first groundbreaking in North Lawndale. Patty, you know the history of North Lawndale when Dr. King, as we prepared to celebrate his life, when he came to the city of Chicago, he set up shop right there on the west side of Chicago in North Lawndale, fighting for fair and affordable housing. And here we are a generation later, seeing the realization of that fight.
I'm grateful for that. Do you have plans to target or find other communities that could benefit from this? Because I know we have on the northwest side. I've always thought with the stretches of places like Milwaukee Avenue near the second largest transportation hub in the city, we have just this basically a storefront after empty storefront after empty storefront, and I feel like we need to be creative about how we reuse that. Are there other communities that you'll be looking at for programs like the Missing Middle Ground?
Yeah, absolutely. And in fact, not just the Missing Middle program, I'm really proud that we passed in 2025 our Green Social Housing program, which essentially is going to help stabilize rent as we build green social housing with a revolving loan where the loan itself is replenished as development occurs. So we're hoping to break ground soon. We're definitely looking at the northwest side of Chicago because we know how rent as well as the price for housing continues to go up in these communities where development is happening. You also mentioned, of course, the storefronts. Part of that economic that economic development bond is to also ensure that there's support for small businesses. We've eliminated, the threshold where you can build affordable units near public transportation, and we don't have to adhere to the number of parking spaces that had been really an impediment to doing development around public transportation. So we're looking at the diversity and the makeup of our city and using a variety of development programs to drive the cost of housing down. And so whether it's the missing middle, of course, or whether it's green social housing, there are neighborhoods across the city that will benefit from both of those programs.
Well, and with that in mind, with public transportation, I think that there's a certain alderman in my community that is highlighting what's happening on CTA. I take Blue Line all the time. I take Metra. I've been taking trains and buses in Chicago since I was 10 years old by myself. Tell us about what's going on with CTA, because I know that Trump had frozen funding for the Red Line extension to the far south side. What's the path forward there?
Well, as you know, there's a number of illegal, items that this president has put forward, whether it's, again, trying to withhold resources to the Red Line extension or withholding funds to our public schools for our Black Student Success Program. We have put forth, a lawsuit that I believe is quite clear that this president is behaving outside the bounds of the Constitution. So we'll continue to move those lawsuits forward. In the meantime, of course, we worked hard with members of the General Assembly to ensure that CTA would be equitably funded in this mass transit bill. That we accomplished, we got done, and the people of Chicago will not only benefit from the investment that we're going to receive from Springfield, but the entire region benefits from it. Like, the city of Chicago is clearly, the economic engine of the state. Quite frankly, the region, right? So while we continue to fight for our proper funding in the courts, we're grateful that the state of Illinois has certainly stepped up to provide the investments that are needed to ensure that we have a world-class public transportation system.
We are talking to Mayor Brandon Johnson, the mayor of Chicago. We've got more questions for you. Can you hang on for one more segment, sir?
Of course. I'm here for you, Patty.
Appreciate it. We'll take a break here. Folks, I can see your text, so I'm going to read a couple of these when we come back. So if you do want to share your thoughts or questions, 773-763-9278. That's the number to text us. Again, we are talking to Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson. More in a moment on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal. Hi, our friends in Seattle on KKNW. I hope you're learning something about our city, because we love talking to you, too.
Stephanie Miller.
I get to say my favorite sentence in the entire world. Here comes Kathy Griffin, hero of democracy. Hello.
How are we going to do this? Because I know we're both going to want to talk at the same time, because it's a love fest. I am so in love with you. You are so important and wonderful and funny and brilliant, and you are who I aspire to be. When I grow up, I want to be you.
No, you.
Stephanie Miller, weekday mornings 8 to 11 on WCPT 820.
WCPT replay. John Fugelsang. Listen, y'all, the dude wrote a book called Separation of Church and Hate. What a great title. Tell us a little bit what's happening in that space.
Well, and I'm so grateful to you and all the deeply attractive listeners of WCPT for supporting this book. So I wrote this book years ago about how to use the Bible for believers and atheists, because even if you don't believe in Jesus, if you're debating a right-wing Christian on any of the issues that divide us, Jesus is probably on your side, whether he's a literal figure or not. They don't care about the teachings of Jesus. They don't care about religious freedom. They don't give a damn what God tells you to do in the Bible. They care about conservative Christian power. That's it. Jesus' movement was all about humanity and all about humility. He was not about total right-wing domination of the school board.
Keep listening to WCPT 820 because facts matter.
This is WCPT 820, where facts matter.
No detours, no distractions, just bold ideas and real talk. This is Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez.
And we are on the line with our former colleague here at WCPT Radio, now Mayor of the City of Chicago, Brandon Johnson. Mayor, thank you again for your time and talking to our audience. Of course, people want to know what's going on in their city and what's happening next. I do want to talk to you about our Chicago Public Schools. I'm a proud graduate from grade school all the way through high school at Lane Tech, and a lot has changed since I was a kid and raised my boys, also CPS grads. So recently CPS got a historic TIF surplus, but we still don't have a permanent CEO, and there's structural budget concerns going forward. What do you want to tell parents about the stability of CPS?
Well, first of all, to your point about the historic investment, that was intentional, right? As a former public school teacher, the first mayor in the history of Chicago to actually send their children to our public schools, I totally believe in our all public accommodations, but in particular, public education. And we released a TIF surplus of $1 billion. Over half of that went to our public schools, but it also went to our parks. But we've seen some really strong gains in terms of stability. We expanded our sustainable community schools, which is, really a response to how privatization and school closures have disrupted so many communities. Right. So we're in a stronger position, quite frankly, to push Springfield to do more, even with the increased funding. The state of Illinois still woefully underfunds public schools across the state of Illinois. You may have recently heard that the Speaker of the House supports this idea that a lot of us have been organizing around, which is a millionaire's tax. Been calling for it for some time. There's some growing traction there, and part of that effort is to ensure that those dollars go directly towards the things that are important, particularly our young people in our education system. As far as a permanent CEO, we have an interim CEO who's going to finish out this school year. That's always been the plans, the intentions. And by the end of this school year, I fully anticipate that, between, recommendations coming from the board, the appointment ultimately rests in my wheelhouse. But there will be, some applicants that I could look over and to ensure that we have someone who understands the value of sustainable community schools and working collaboratively with the community, and then working side by side with the community to get the proper revenue from the state of Illinois to fully fund our school district.
Well, I hope that we can work something out. And when you mentioned the millionaire tax, because I know, what was it? God, it was 10 years ago under Governor Rauner. When he was elected, we actually voted on the ballot to have the millionaire tax, which failed in the House because of I'm never going to stop being mad about this, Mayor. It was Representatives Franks, Duncan, and Drury who voted down the millionaire tax, which would have helped us. Anyway, I'm sorry. It makes me so mad.
No need to apologize. No, you're right. It's been a long battle, and as you indicated, from my time as a classroom teacher to an organizer, eventually county commissioner. But we've been pushing for this for some time, and this is the right time to do it. Obviously, in my budget, we challenge corporations, particularly with a brand new social media tax on these big tech companies to fund mental and behavioral health care services. So there's an appetite, I believe, for the people of Chicago and the state of Illinois, quite frankly, to challenge these big corporations and those with means to put more skin in the game. If there was ever a time to do that, it's this time, especially because we saw the largest upward transfer of wealth go into the hands of the rich by the Trump administration. And if we're going to mitigate the harm that this administration has caused, it's going to be incumbent upon us, especially strong progressives and folks who have more of a liberal frame, to challenge the elected leaders across the state to do right by working people. And I'm certainly going to be on the front lines, as I've always been, pushing for that, especially for our education system.
Outstanding. And I do want to turn toward the tragedy of the last week, and we've all seen, and if we can put our attention to what happened to this young mother of three, Renee Good, who was really trying to protect her neighbors, call attention to ICE activity, which we see throughout Chicago. I have friends who, are on whistle patrol. They help out at schools for pickups and drop-offs. There are folks who are making sure that whether they're landscapers or working, just families. I mean, nannies. It's happening all over our city. And the shooting of Renee Good is something we have experienced in Chicago. When Silverio Villegas Gonzalez was killed in Franklin Park and Marimar Martinez was shot 5 times in Brighton Park. And DHS lied about both Chicago incidents. Body cam footage contradicted their claims. We can see with our own eyes what happened in Minneapolis. And, you put out a powerful statement after Renee Good was killed, and you called ICE rogue masked federal agents. And we really need to know more about what we can do. While we know that they're gearing up to send more people to Chicago, we know that they're exacting what seems to be retaliation against Minneapolis. So tell us, what's your message to Chicagoans who have fear right now?
Well, first, let me just again acknowledge the shock to the conscience of the nation when we saw the killing of Renee Good. And it's obviously very disturbing, and it shows that a real disregard for human life. And then to your point, the Trump administration continues to lie to the American people. It's why I've worked hard to use every single tool that's available to me, whether it's, legislation, executive orders, which we have put forth multiple executive orders to protect all of Chicago, but also, taking it to the courts. We saw the Supreme Court ruled in our favor, declaring the fact that what Trump is trying to do with the National Guard to be unconstitutional. We just filed another lawsuit earlier this week or yesterday, in fact, along with the Attorney General, that would ultimately codify or protect the executive orders that we put in place. And it's really centered around the abusive enforcement tactics, if you want to call them enforcement tactics, that are being used by these federal agents, not allowing them to set up shop in sensitive and vulnerable locations like our ICE-free zones, essentially, schools and hospitals and parks, public land in general, and then just the indiscriminate releasing of tear gas and other chemical weapons that we saw unleashed on children who were, marching and walking through the community during the Halloween parade. And we've seen them release that on our police officers. And so this administration is clearly reckless and out of control. And I understand that fear, but make no mistake about it, I'm going to continue to stand up for working people and use every single tool that I have available to protect all of Chicago. And again, this recent lawsuit is just yet another example of us being, aggressive in our effort to protect working people. And here's the good news. Every lawsuit that was filed against us, we have defeated. And every lawsuit that we have put forward, we have prevailed. And so it's going to require all of us to continue to stand shoulder to shoulder, see our neighbors as ourselves. And I believe if we can hold true to those values, we're going to come out on the other side of this better and stronger. We don't want to return to business as usual. We want to create a society that works for everyone, and that's what my administration has been leaning into. And the best way to build the safest, most affordable big city in America is to invest in people and protect the very people who make this city the amazing city that it is.
I really appreciate that, and I want to tell you that we've got 2 texts I want to read to you. One's a question. Mayor, due to ICE activity, are you sending the cost or bills for all the police overtime to DHS and ICE? Doesn't ICE have an extra $130 billion to send to Chicago and the Chicagoland area for the police departments in overtime?
Yeah, that's a good idea. I mean, look, ICE alone, their budget is I guess it's competing with the United States military and China's military, because those are the only 2 budgets that are bigger than ICE, as Trump has used this as his privatized personal police force. So look, these ideas that are coming in from people across the city, because we are experiencing something that to a large extent is unprecedented. So any and every idea that we can use to protect Chicagoans, absolutely, I'm happy to consider and figure out ways in which we can, again, further strengthen our protections for people of this city.
And here, as we head into the weekend with the Bears in the playoffs, is a question about, of course, the stadium from a listener in Wheeling. There's no backdrop more beautiful than the TV views from Chicago's downtown when the Bears play at Soldier Field. It's a video postcard to the country that Chicago is amazing. So their question is, I'm confused as to how the money, both public and private, can't keep the Bears on the lakefront. Are the Bears reluctant to take on more investors? Do they not want to share the profits? He's asking about, where are we now with the stadium that you can update us on?
Yeah, look, I think the texter is absolutely right. There's no better location for the Chicago Bears than the city of Chicago, particularly the lakefront. I've been very clear that it has to have a public benefit and a public use. The Bears put forth a proposal where 72% of the cost of the stadium will be paid for through ownership. They were committed to paying off the debt of the current stadium. There's some infrastructure needs that I know the state of Illinois was committed to supporting, but there is still this gap between 72% and 100% of the stadium being paid for. And right now, the state of Illinois, whether it's the General Assembly, the governor, they just have not expressed an appetite, if you will, for anything beyond infrastructure. So look, I'm going to continue to keep the door open, just as you saw. On this past weekend, we never give up as Chicagoans. And so I'm going to remain hopeful and confident that, we can all come together to what was suggested even in that text, or perhaps even other investors can play a part in making sure that we have a stadium that ultimately will be owned by the people of the city of Chicago, and there's a real public benefit and use to it.
Outstanding. And I do want to ask you, what are your thoughts on how much the Bears will win by on Sunday against the Rams?
Here's the guarantee is that it's going to be real exciting.
Okay.
So, just make sure you get your lemon juice and your cinnamon to keep that blood sugar regulated. And, come on. It's hard not to go into this weekend without a level of confidence, but they're going to have to really, really score some points and make sure that defense holds strong because certainly Los Angeles knows how to get the ball in the end zone. So if we can, have a strong showing the way our defense showed up in the second half, we do that right away. And if that fourth quarter can look like the first two quarters, then, here we go. Let's go for the NFC Championship and get ready to bring the Super Bowl Shuffle 2.0, which I have people in my administration that have no reference to the Super Bowl Shuffle. How long?
Oh, man. Well, you need to just play it every day in the offices, in the hallways of City Hall. We're not here to start any trouble. I'm sorry. I should not have inflicted that on you nor the city of Chicago.
Let me just tell you that there was a lot of talent shows in the 80s, and if you look really, I'm sure you can find a video of me in one of them as Samurai.
Nice. I when I went to U of I was a freshman in high school when the Bears went to the Super Bowl, and every day at Lane they would play it in the hallways, and so I would dance every day. 4 years later in college, a guy in my dorm, I started singing. He goes, "Oh my God, I remember you!" So I scarred someone with my horrible singing. Before I let you go, sir, I do want to leave you on this text from the 708. Please tell the mayor that I have mad love and respect for his courage to stand up against tyranny and for standing strong with the Latino community and all communities. For the first time since Mayor Washington, Chicago has a mayor for the people, for all people. I don't live in the city, but if I did, I would support him 100%. Please keep up the good work. That's from Tony.
Thank you, Tony, from the 708. And we're building a more affordable city, Tony. Come on, move to the city. You know you want to be here anyway.
That's right. Love it. Thank you so much, Mayor. We look forward to catching up with you. I know that, look, I get that we're on during the drive time, and maybe it's not that easy to get to the Northwest side. I get that you came into Richard Shue because it's kind of the way to start your day. I'm just saying, why don't you drive home with us one of these days?
We're going to find a reason to come up that way, absolutely, to hang out with you in studio. And the studio looks great, by the way, so I look forward to figuring that out.
Absolutely. Plus, we'll take you to Superdog. You got to stop at Superdog. Just saying. Thanks, sir.
You know it.
Be well.
You're welcome.
Take care, and I appreciate your time.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Let's take a break here, and we'll come back. If you want to give us a call, 773-763-9278. That's the number to call and join the conversation, 773-763-9278. More in a moment on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal and KKNW 1150.
You're listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Ray Miller. Cloudy skies tonight with scattered snow showers. A low temperature of 27 degrees with winds out of the northwest at 10 to 20 miles an hour. Wednesday, snow showers with a high temperature of 29 and northwest winds at 15 to 30 miles an hour. Thursday, sunshine, high temperature of 27. Friday, snow likely with a high of 37. Saturday, chance of snow with a high temperature around 21 degrees. That's the latest Chicago weather update. Right now, it's 45.
This is Chicago's Progressive Talk, 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and online at WCPT820.com, where facts matter.
Joan Esposito, live, local, and progressive.
People who listen to WCPT, you are bright, you are interested, you are interesting, and you are well informed. It is a gift for me to be here, and I appreciate it every day. We obviously couldn't do this without you.
Joan Esposito, weekday afternoons 2 to 5 on WCPT 820.
You're listening to WCPT 820 because facts matter.
If you're listening to this station right now, you've definitely heard my voice before. Hi, I'm Hawk.
And I'm Pete. And we're with Source Solar, your local source for solar. Source Solar is Chicagoland's premier solar installer, providing solutions for over 1,000 homeowners and business owners across Illinois and Iowa.
With over a decade of industry experience and deep roots here in Chicago, we have the expertise to help your transition to clean, renewable, resilient energy.
We can guarantee that we save you money day one without any out-of-pocket cost to you. This means you have an instant ROI, instant payback, and can save money to add to your bottom line day one.
At Source Solar, we source everything as local as possible, meaning we always carry the Made in USA sticker.
Find us online at www.source.solar. Stop in our office at 5710 North Northwest Highway or give us a call at 773-985-3992.
And don't forget to ask for Hawk
or Pete.
Patti Vasquez is taking your calls now.
All right, let's hit it.
At 773-763-9278.
I got a lot to say.
It's Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez.
Thank you so much for joining us as we continue to drive it home. It's so funny because I want to look. Whatever your opinions are, he's the mayor of Chicago, and I grew up in the city. Like if I could have talked to I have performed stand-up comedy for over 30 years, and I believe I know. So I performed several times for Mayor Daley and Maggie Daley. One day I was hired for this women's group, and it was at the Lux Cafe, the Grand Lux. I don't know. It was a fancy restaurant, and I was heading in, and I hadn't been told. It was just told. They told me it was Professional Women of Chicago, and they said it was a small group. And I was heading in. There was a revolving door, and then there was like a side door, and I saw a woman with a walker kind of trying to get through that side door. So I went and I pulled it open and helped her in. And then it was Maggie Daley. And she was, you guys, really wonderful. I don't know if you are familiar with how much she had an impact on helping beautify our city, whether it's the landscaping that you see downtown, a lot of what's going on in our parks, in particular at Millennium Park. Just the transformation of that after school programs. So I had the opportunity to thank her for programs that my sons both benefited in. And, but it was so funny because we took the elevator up and we were talking and I was trying not to be nervous, and we get upstairs and it was like really just about maybe 16 women all sitting around like a big long table. And I just like basically stood up and talked to people around a big table and did stand-up comedy. It was the second time I had performed for her. Another time it was a judge retiring. Again, I did not know that the Dailies would be there. And I was hired to do stand-up comedy. My manager said, just do your set. And I got to this part and I realized in my mind, I have a bit about breast cancer awareness. And I used to do this whole thing about we should just call it Save the Boobies because men will show up, right? This is before like pink ribbons really took off. This is a long time ago. And everyone got kind of quiet. And I got a phone call the next day and they were like, she's a breast cancer survivor. And people around were concerned, but she had called people. She's like, that was really funny. So even though everyone got quiet for her, she thought it was funny, and that was all I needed. I actually have a picture of me and Mayor Daley from when I was 9 years old when he first ran in the primary against Jane Byrne. I was Jane Byrne, Harold Washington, and Mayor Daley. So that was my experience. And Jane Byrne. I was at Lane Tech. I took the blue line and I got off at Jefferson Park, and she had they were corralling all the passengers from the train past her. We all had to shake her hand. And it was CBS News. The tape has got to be somewhere. And I was like, how old was I? I don't know. I can't remember how old I was. But anyway, I was walking by her. I had gum in my mouth. And that's the clip they played on the news of me like chomping on gum, like shaking her head. So stupid. I forgot about that. Okay. And then, I think I've talked about how Mayor Rahm Emanuel tried to have me fired at WGN because maybe I woke him up at 2 a.m. Maybe that happened. Maybe I used to do silly prank calls. I was young. I was, whatever. Great. And Lori Lightfoot, I interviewed her several times, once before she announced, once after. I was also a moderator at the mayoral forum at the Copernicus Center. And I would not have guessed, like out of all the candidates, having met her twice, I never would have guessed she would have been not just the winner, but like even in the top, because she was kind of a little bit quiet, sort of soft-spoken. And I was surprised because I don't know if you guys remember, she was going to run against Rahm Emanuel. She wasn't waiting for him to say he wasn't running. She was already running against him. So I've met a lot of the mayors. That's really even before I was in radio, I'd already come across all these. That's really wild. So it's exciting to talk to the leader of the greatest city in the country. I would say on the planet. Although I've traveled and it comes close. Let's get some phone calls. 773-763-9278. That's the number to call and join our conversation. Joining us on the line is first call out of the gate. It's Jim in Chicago. What's on your mind?
Hi, Patty. First of all, not to be patronizing, but you're terrific with politicians. It's probably, and now that you've gained some knowledge by running for office yourself, which took a lot of guts.
Oh, thank you.
But you can see it from the inside out, which is interesting.
Wait a minute, we have Heidi. Oh, Jim, I'm sorry. Am I leaving Heidi on the phone? I'm so out of schedule. Jim. Can I come back to you in a minute at 6 o'clock?
Sure.
This is so
sweetheart.
silly.
Yeah,
God, here I'm waxing poetic about mayors. All right, thanks, Jim.
Yeah,
thanks.
Yeah, I'll hold that. Yeah, don't worry.
My screen went away and I forgot. Heidi, I didn't mean to forget about you. She's like, what? Why is she still yapping? Heidi Stevens joins us, columnist for the Chicago Tribune. I could have told you all that. At any rate, hi.
Hi, Patty. I was prepared to wait out Jim. I wanted to hear what Jim had to say.
Well, hold on a second. We can get Jim. Hold on. Are you sure? Because I can wait for Jim.
Of course. I know. I'm good.
You're on with Heidi Stevens, Jim. Heidi, you're on with Jim. How's that?
Yeah, hi. What's got me this week, Heidi, is this Iranian thing where you've got two, Netanyahu and Trump, all concerned about the protesters dying in Iran. But the texture of Iran, when you think of Iran, first of all, they had a democratic. I don't want to go tedious on you, but in the 50s, they had early 50s, had a democratic country. And then we needed the oil. We needed the assets. They actually will go anywhere for oil. And they installed the Shah. And then the Shah, through patronage, brought whatever kind of, they call it an upper middle class there. And then the theocracy took over as a result of their mismanagement. And it goes on, it continues. But it's really distressing when they talk about Iran with no texture of the history of the country. That's what bothers me.
So surprising.
Yeah,
exactly.
No, but I mean, but it's missing. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, Heidi, thank you. Go ahead. Go ahead. You guys go ahead.
Thanks, Jim. Well, to Jim's point, Heidi, I mean, there's so much madness going on in the world, and I know that you are trying to find the joy. So, I mean, how are you sort of processing everything that's happening, whether it's local or national or international? This is a lot.
And I a little bit want to throw it back at you and ask if you think that's actually the right approach right now. I'm really all over the place on this. I'm finding all this kind of hope and connection, and like, you know, the Bears are in the playoffs still, and it's, you know, January 13th. And the sunsets are stunning right now because we're having fake spring, and like all these sort of things that are keeping me from, you know, spiraling into despondency. But I don't know, should we go ahead and let ourselves spiral into despondency? I mean, I don't know. I'm asking this in good faith. Like, I really, in a way, I sometimes see, you know, Jim's point in Iran, then we have Venezuela, then we have Minneapolis, then we have like, is it time to just sort of press pause on the joyful stuff and be all hands on deck on the panic?
I can't be all hands on deck with the panic because then I become not dysfunctional. I just can't. I mean, I you know what I've been doing? I will be honest with you. I've been studying Stoicism, and Buddhism has helped me name emotions as I feel like anxiety rising. Like I'll be like, oh, there's fear, and I tell it to go sit down. I know it's there. I'm identifying it, right? Because like you're right, it is too much. It's so fast. We haven't even finished 2 weeks into 2026, and it's been just a nightmare.
Right.
So yeah, I am envious of people like you who work out. And do you find that helps you with starting your day and sort of setting the pace for yourself?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I've actually switched it to evenings. I've been going for a run at sunset just because I feel like by the end of the day I'm starting to sort of sink into that despondent feeling, and it's like, nope, get out there and see nature. Go look at Lake Michigan. It has lived longer than any of us and will live longer than any of us. And you know, just that perspective is good for me to sort of round out the work day and the doom scrolling day.
Right.
I also, like, I guess there's a part of me that feels like this is sort of a privileged question for me to even be throwing back at you, because, of course, throughout human history, people who are in groups that are marginalized and abused and whose humanity is not even assumed to exist, let alone protected or respected, have been making art and beauty and finding joy. And so it feels a little privileged of me to even say, like, well, gosh, you know, now that this feels like it's, you know, affecting my day-to-day, does it feel like maybe we shouldn't be finding joy? Of course, people throughout human history have been finding joy in the muck and, you know, despair, always. And often the people who are the most affected by it, right? I mean,
I agree. And I like just seeing images of, you know, wherever it is, whether it's Iran or it is in Gaza, you know, Venezuela, of Minneapolis, you know, and I think that's, you know, it's the heartache that it's identifying it for me. And knowing that, you know, while I can't do anything in the moment, like being not just finding ways to help people in my community, is you know, having conversations with folks. But believe me, I stay awake. I mean, I'm getting maybe 3 to 4 hours of sleep a night. Like, it's hard for me to fall asleep. I keep waking up, and some of it's dread and anxiety. And so I get that. I think a lot of us are feeling that. But I think that we can't. Like I said, I can't function unless I find the joy, and that's kind of the way I've always dealt with trauma. So that's the only perspective I can share. I mean, and for me, it's not like a lot. It's even enjoying some TV show with my husband. I'm not going out a lot. Like I'm not socializing as much. I'm kind of hunkered down, I think, is part of what I'm not hibernating, but I should probably go for. I'm not going to go for a run. I'll be honest with you.
What about a walk?
Exactly.
I think anything in nature, honestly, is just super helpful for me. It doesn't even have to be exercise. There's something just really powerful about looking up at the sky or looking at anything that, you know, predates us and will outlive us. I think it just is perspective giving. And then there's also a lot of beauty in it, right? Like, if you can look at a sunrise or a sunset or, you know, a sky with some really cool clouds in it, I think that does kind of reset all of us. And, you know, I also, like, I don't know, you're a mom, I'm a mom. I know there's no way I had my children with, like, dreams and hopes for them of just sort of, like, you know, biding their time and putting their heads down while all the trauma and despair happened around them. Like, I definitely had them to experience joy and beauty and love and laughter and all the things that make life worth living, right? And I think that's the same with like our parents too, right? And their parents too. Like, we aren't here to suffer. Suffering is part of our condition, but that's not why we're here, right? Like, it's not why we're here. We're here to enjoy the enjoyable parts, right?
I think so. I do. And I want to take a break here, and I know I left you on hold prattling away because I lost track of time.
I enjoyed hearing the Maggie Daly story. I really did.
She was really sweet. We are talking.
She was special, man.
She was. I really, what a lovely lady. We're talking to Heidi Stevens, nationally syndicated columnist. You can catch her work in the Chicago Tribune. Follow her on social media. We're going to take a break and cover a couple of stories that I know are top of mind for both of us, for a lot of our listeners. Again, we're hanging out with Heidi Stevens. More in a moment on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal and KKNW 1150.
1 in 4 Americans have a disability. I'm one of them. I'm also a working mom who cares deeply about making sure every child with a disability thrives by getting their access needs met. We've got a trusted ally by our side. Easter Seals provides children and families the foundation for lifelong success through early learning programs, skills training, and prep for college and career. That's my Easter Seals. Make it yours. Join us at easterseals.com.
Alexa, play WCPT.
WCPT from TuneIn.
Strong Chicago continues to lead the way with progressive values and in preserving democracy. Your support of the Minocqua Brewing Company Super PAC efforts in Wisconsin and beyond strengthens the fight against MAGA Republicans. You can now purchase progressive beers like Labor Lager, Love Wins Fruited Sour, and the Resistance IPA in Chicago at Rogers Park Provisions, Diversey Beer, Wine and Spirits in Lakeview, Park West Liquor, Wine and Beer in Lincoln Park, Logan Square Liquors, and Tip Top Food and Liquors in Westtown. Visit MinocquaBrewingCompany.com for all their Chicagoland locations. As always, no matter how bad our sports teams are, please drink responsibly. I have got to change that promo, Heidi Stevens, because
right? Now they're good. Now they're good.
They're good. It's very well. They're good. They're good in the fourth quarter. It's so exhausting.
Right. That's really the only quarter that matters.
Oh my God. At any rate, Heidi has a column coming out. Heidi Stevens, nationally syndicated columnist, has a piece coming out, and I let me with the RFK Jr. Situation and change. I mean, like, I don't want to talk about the pyramid and booze and meat and all these other things. The vaccine schedule and what they claim to be basing it on is such nonsense. Tell us a little bit about your perspective.
It's actually total nonsense. I mean, and the Washington Post had a fantastic piece talking to a whole bunch of scientists and researchers who said, like, this didn't follow any sort of protocol of getting, scientific insight and feedback on the vaccine schedule before overhauling it. Like, there is actually a process that is traditionally gone through before you tell parents a vastly different set of, vaccines to recommend. And that was not followed at all. So that alone should give people pause about following this new vaccine schedule. But it feels really cruel to expect parents, especially parents of infants and toddlers who, are exhausted and confused and, just searching for answers from trusted professionals like their pediatrician. It feels really cruel to ask them to wade through their pediatrician's advice for what to follow and what not to follow. There should just be, an assumption that you walk into your pediatrician's office and the recommended vaccine schedule is, in fact, the best one to follow for your child. But they overhauled it, last week. Takes effect immediately. The piece that you just referenced that I wrote that's in the Chicago Tribune on Sunday is about meningitis, which is one of the vaccines they took off the recommended vaccine schedule. I had meningitis in 2011. I was in the hospital for a long time with it, and And it was awful, and it was scary and it was painful. And I have a heart condition that I'll have all my life because of it. I'm really, really lucky. I recovered, and I'm able to manage the heart condition. We just talked about how I can run, and that's all fantastic. But the main thing that I kept, I think about all the time as I recovered from that, and as I think back to the time in the hospital from that, is like, thank God my kids are vaccinated against this. Thank God kids all over the country are vaccinated against this, because it's an awful disease. And to muddy those waters and take that off the list of vaccines you're recommending parents give to their children, it's like, it's so reckless.
Yeah.
It's so reckless and it's so cruel. And I just can't believe that we can't do better than that right now as a country, with all of the intelligence and science and research and resources we have. I just can't believe that's the best we can do by our children and families. I think we can do better.
I agree. It is. It's astounding to me. And look, I remember because my boys were born when Jenny McCarthy was spreading all these stories and misinformation and lies about vaccinations, and I was worried, right? Because my son was born medically fragile, and I kept thinking, am I doing something wrong? And to add that layer of just chaos is and the dangers at any rate. It's so freaking much.
Right.
And what's interesting is I did not set out, by the way, to be a radio host. However, I have been a fan of radio since I was a kid, whether it was listening to Wally Phillips. My mother always had NPR on in the house. And this is another place where it's heartbreaking that we have this situation with the public broadcasting being dissolved. What do you want to share with our audience and your feelings and thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's another blow, isn't it? I think a lot of us saw that coming, right? Because this administration has been going after, NPR stations and the Corporation for Public Broadcasting almost from the jump. But yeah, the board, voted to shut down the organization last week. The board of the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, with at least from what I've read, the thinking that it's better to dissolve than to become sort of like a mouthpiece for this administration, or have your mission so sort of bastardized that you're not really doing what you set out to do. The part that depresses me the most is it's like one more step toward like a citizenry and a public that's not walking around with the same set of facts. We aren't walking around with the same narratives and assumed facts. I think the shooting in Minneapolis is a perfect example. Like, you're hearing two different sides to a story when in fact the story is the facts of the story. But it's getting harder and harder to just find an outlet where you just hear the facts of the story, which is that a nice officer shot this woman in the face. And I think that this is a really terrifying time to be losing, publicly funded, nonpartisan media outlets.
Yeah. It is. It does give pause. I've been, reading about a lot of stations around the country, and because, NPR is kind of put in the same category as progressive radio stations, and there are there's 1,500 conservative radio stations in the country, 700 religious based, which then also lean into the conservative guests and that ideology. There are less than 100 liberal or, not, but that includes NPR. So I don't know. And we are the biggest progressive station, so I don't know what's going to be left after this.
Interesting. That's super interesting. I didn't know the numbers.
Oh, yeah, it's staggering. At any rate, let's go find the joy. We've been talking to Heidi Stevens. Be sure to check out her newest column coming out this weekend. She's a nationally syndicated columnist, of course, in the Chicagoland area. You've got her on, well, everywhere. She's got her on ChicagoTribune.com. Heidi, we loved catching up with you. We'll have to bake in another 10 minutes, 15 minutes the next time we have you on because I prattled on while you were on hold. I apologize.
That's okay. I enjoyed your prattling.
Thank you so much. I love talking to you. Be well. And next time I want to talk about your training for the marathon.
Yeah. No, I'm happy to talk about that next time.
Oh, actually, let folks know what organization are you benefiting for that run?
Oh, yeah. I'm so perfect. Thank you for asking. I'm raising money for Nourishing Hope, which feeds our neighbors and also raises money for mental health supports for Chicagoans. So the 2026 marathon in October, and I've started fundraising. So if that feels like a cause that is near and dear to your heart, the way it is to mine, I would love the support.
That's Nourishing Hope. Thank you so much, Heidi. Have a great evening.
Thanks,
and I'll
Daddy.
talk to you soon. Thank you.
Perfect. Okay, bye.
Let's take a break here, and when we come back, we are going to talk to Senator Kelda Roys, who's running for Wisconsin governor. More after this on WCPT and KKNW.
It's a new year when people make resolutions to achieve something special, typically for personal growth. At Total Dentistry, we do the same, but our resolution is daily, consistent, year to year. And yes, you've heard it before. Total Dentistry, a general dental practice like no other. That is our declaration, our promise to you to provide individualized care to fit your needs. You see, at Total Dentistry, you're not just a chart number. You're not a tooth number. You're part of our dental family. So to us, transparency and trust is key. We understand that life has its challenges, and that's why we created TCP, Total Care Plan, a membership plan for those with no insurance, so everyone wins. So visit us today in person or online. Let's make the resolution to get you a new, happy, healthy smile the Total Dentistry way. Total Dentistry, 847-358-2477, or visit us at totaldentistry.org.
Start off the new year on a healthier note by taking active liver supplements from New Nordic every day. Available online at Amazon or newnordicusa.com or at your local CVS, ShopRite, Meijer Grocery, or Wegmans.
AP News, I'm Mike Hempen. Some federal prosecutors in Minnesota are leaving.
There's a shakeup at the Justice Department in Minnesota. Sources tell the AP roughly half a dozen federal prosecutors resigned in Minnesota, and several supervisors in the criminal section of the Justice Department's Civil Rights Division have announced they're leaving. It follows growing tensions over the Trump administration's decision to block the state out of the investigation into the shooting death by an ICE agent of Renee Good. Meantime, in Minneapolis, federal officers sprayed eye irritant and dropped tear gas at activists. Gas clouds fill the streets. This man was in the group.
They tried to abduct my neighbors on Saturday morning. We all came out. We drove them off. We're driving out people every day, driving out ICE hired goons.
It's common for people in Minneapolis to boo, taunt, and blow orange whistles when they spot heavily armed agents passing through in unmarked vehicles or walking in the streets. I'm Ed Donahue.
A top justice official says there is currently no basis to open a criminal civil rights investigation into the killing of a woman in Minneapolis by a U.S. Immigrations and Custom Enforcement officer. While the FBI probe is ongoing, lawyers in the Civil Rights Division were informed last week that they would not be involved in the investigation at this time. That's according to two people familiar with the matter. Civil rights pioneer Claudette Colvin has died. She was 86. Her 1955 arrest for refusing to give up her seat on a segregated Montgomery bus helped spark the modern civil rights movement. The Claudette Colvin Legacy Foundation says she died of natural causes in Texas. The Democratic National Committee plans to spend millions of dollars to consolidate voter registration efforts. This is AP News. Actor Timothy Busfield has been booked on child sex abuse charges in New Mexico.
Emmy-winning actor-director Timothy Busfield, known from his work on TV shows like The West Wing and 30-something, has turned himself in to police in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Authorities had issued a warrant on 2 counts of criminal sexual contact of a minor and 1 count of child abuse. In an exclusive video posted by TMZ, Busfield says the allegations are lies. The complaint alleges that between 2022 and 2024, Busfield inappropriately touched 2 twin boys, child actors on the set of The Cleaning Lady, a TV series Busfield was directing. In a previous interview, he told authorities he may have picked up and tickled the children because the set was a playful environment. According to the complaint, one of the boys has been diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder and anxiety and told a social worker he has nightmares about Busfield. I'm Jennifer King.
More news at apnews.com. I'm Mike Hempen, AP News.
This is 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and streaming worldwide at WCPT820.com. We are Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter. Now, your WCPT 820 weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Ray Miller. Cloudy skies tonight with scattered snow showers. A low temperature of 27 degrees with winds out of the northwest at 10 to 20 miles an hour. Wednesday, snow showers with a high temperature of 29 and northwest winds at 15 to 30 miles an hour. Thursday, sunshine, high temperature of 27. Friday, snow likely with a high of 37. Saturday, chance of snow with a high temperature around 21 degrees. That's the latest Chicago weather update. Right now, it's 45.
Today, 1 in 5 working-age Americans has a mental health condition.
People in all types of jobs and at all levels.
And the key to helping us succeed is a supportive and inclusive workplace.
All of us have a role to play in making that happen.
So what can I do to help?
As a CEO, I can set the tone for supportive culture.
As a manager, I can offer assistance and accommodations.
As a coworker, I can listen and be a source of support to my colleagues.
As someone with a mental health condition, I can ask for what I need to perform my best.
I can offer all employees the supports they need to deliver on the job. For the team
and for the business.
What can I do?
What can I do?
What can I do?
I can remind others
that we all benefit from workplaces that promote good mental health.
Mental health-friendly workplaces are more important than ever.
And all of us have a role to play in promoting them.
Learn more at whatcanyoudocampaign.org.
Chicago's progressive talk, WCPT 820, where facts matter.
Driving it home with Patti Vasquez, Patti Vasquez. From global conflicts to greenhouse gases, the folks refusing to wear masks says, and politicians getting caught grabbing asses says, she's driving it home with Patti Vasquez.
Thank you so much for joining us. We continue our drive home. Want to thank all of our sponsors, and I apologize for not catching up on that earlier. We want to thank our friends at Minocqua Brewing Company, and I want to remind everybody, of course, we've got, football going on this weekend, and you can visit one of Chicagoland's 70 Chicagoland's area partners like Antioch Fine Wines and Liquors, Oswego Food and Liquors, or Captain Jack's Beverages and Worth to stock up today, because the fight for freedom never takes a day off. Be sure to celebrate the next Chicago Bears victory with a tasty Minocqua Brewing Company progressive beer like Freedom Trail Kolsch, the Resistance Pilsner, or it is and always will be the Gulf of Mexico Mexican Lager. For a full list of retailer locations in Illinois, Minnesota, and Green Bay Packerland, or to order beer online to ship across the country, please visit MinocquaBrewingCompany.com. We also want to thank our friends at Pride Coffee Roasters. Absolutely my favorite coffee to have. I know we've got our friend Carmen Navarre-Jacone, who's making her way through a bag of coffee beans from Haiti. Lady B has her coffee from Peru. I am finishing my Resist Movement blend because we stand in solidarity. And thank you to our friends at Pride Coffee Roasters for supporting this show and making the best single origin beans around. They are roasted to order. So go to pridecoffeeroasters.com and put in an order right now. You can get a bean subscription. You can buy some gay swag, and that's all great stuff. We also want to thank our friends at Source Solar. Go to source.solar. Make an appointment with our friend Peter Sorellis. Maybe it's time to get solar panels on your house or business. Now's a great time to set that up because it's springtime. I know it's hard to, it's 50 degrees in Chicago, so it's not that hard to believe that springtime is right around the corner. Let's get to our guest right now. Right on the line with us is Senator Kelda Roys, who's running for Wisconsin governor. You can go to keldaroys.com to learn more. Senator, thank you so much for joining us today, and thank you for letting me prattle on about our sponsors, which make these conversations possible. How are you doing tonight?
I'm so happy to be with you, Patty. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. First, tell me about yourself. Where did you grow up, my friend?
Well, I'm actually from rural Taylor County, which is in north central Wisconsin. My parents had a one-room schoolhouse, and I had a pet goat as a little girl. So I am from rural Wisconsin, but I represent Madison now.
Wow, this sounds like a Little House on the Prairie story. I'm sorry. What do you mean they had a one-room schoolhouse? I have to live there for a minute. What? Was Miss Eliza, was she teaching? I'm sorry. Sorry.
Well, there was a lot of learning going on, but my parents were, young. My mom is a social worker. My dad spent his career in law enforcement. They were both from other parts of the world and other parts of the country, and they came to northern Wisconsin because they knew that they could give their kids a good life here and good public education, and indeed we did. And then later my family moved down to Madison, where I now live and am raising my own family.
Fantastic. I love, I know this is your first time on the show, but I want to tell you that we created a little group when Kamala Harris was running, and then again for some of the Supreme Court races, including Protasevich and Crawford. We created a group called we created a group called Fibs for Wisconsin. And are you familiar with the term fibs? I feel like you might not be.
Of course, I am, but it's not one that I use.
I do, because I lean into it. I'm proudly a fib for Wisconsin because I do love Wisconsin. And so I'm grateful for the work that you do. What inspired you to run for office?
Well, I've always been interested in making change and in politics, but I went to law school, actually, and so was interested in public policy. But I ended up running for office myself when the guy who had been occupying the seat for 30 years finally stepped down, and 5 men stepped forward to run. And there were so few women in the legislature at that time, and I ended up being the youngest person elected and holding office in the Wisconsin legislature at that time. I was 29 when I won my first assembly race.
Wow, amazing. What surprised you the most about running for office?
Well, it's really a gift to be able to meet people, and they give you parts of their story. They tell you things that they sometimes haven't told anyone. And there's an intimacy there and a trust, and I feel like that's a huge gift that people give you when you run for office. And so I love that part about it, that meeting people, hearing their thoughts, their ideas, their hopes and fears. And I really keep that close to me as I hold office and try to do my best to make Wisconsin a more progressive place where everyone can thrive.
It feels challenging right now, doesn't it? What are you hearing from your constituents?
It sure does.
Yeah. Tell us about what's happening in your community.
There's so much.
Yeah.
There's so much anger out there about what this Republican regime is doing to our economy, to our freedoms and our rights, to our neighbors, and the way that, ICE is making us all less safe, and they're bringing violence and hatred and division into our communities. I had a constituent, a couple who were both documented, and they were snatched off the street by ICE. And the husband was actually detained for quite a long time. And, it was wrenching. But, this is a story that's been happening to thousands and thousands of families in every community across this country. Because ICE is untrained, they are violent, they are acting as an unaccountable paramilitary force and not as actual federal law enforcement, and it's making us all less safe.
I on a side note, I did some digging and research on Agent Jonathan Ross. In fact, because I thought the same thing about him specifically, that it was a lack of training. It turns out when he was serving with the Border Patrol in El Paso, they had an investigation, and there were more than 65 instances where agents put themselves in front of a vehicle in order to justify shooting at the driver. And it became policy so it's a whole thing there that makes me absolutely. And now he trains agents, or he was training agents in Minnesota, which seems to be part of what it seems like it was standard operating procedure for him. So I don't know if I agree that 47-day training period in order to pay homage to Trump has to really anger law enforcement. You mentioned that your father was in law enforcement. Is he still with us?
He is, yep. He actually is a prosecutor now, and, but part of what he did, I remember him leaving at night when I was a little girl to go work the night shift as a sheriff's deputy, and then he would go and teach law enforcement officers, and he actually made them read the Constitution. And I remember as a little girl being surprised by that. I thought, oh my gosh, it's so long. How could anybody read that? At 6 years old. And he said, it is very important for law enforcement officers to know everything that's in the Constitution because it is their responsibility to uphold it. And if law enforcement officers do not have their number one fealty to the Constitution, they will never be able to do an effective job. And, I've carried that with me all the way through to law school, and certainly now as a senator and a candidate for governor in a time of real crisis for our democracy, that all of us have an obligation, all of us have an oath that we took to uphold the Constitution, and I take that very, very seriously, and that is why I am so outspoken about what Trump and his cronies are doing.
Oh my God! I really I think I'm grateful that your father had that perspective, and how does he feel about how does he feel about what the ICE agents are doing?
Oh, he's beside himself because he understands that it's making all of us less safe. I mean, that's the thing. Nobody thinks that we should have lawlessness. Everybody wants to live in a safe community, but to snatch people off the street, to use violent tactics and always escalate the violence rather than to de-escalate, to disobey the Constitution and undermine people's rights. They're taking people out of courthouses. They're taking people away from their citizenship appointments. They're making people terrified to go report crime to the police. They're snatching health care and daycare workers out of our communities. They're murdering United States citizens. This is terrifying for all of us, and that is the point. It is meant to silence us and to scare us and intimidate us so that Trump can have more power over us, and we cannot let him do that.
I agree. We are talking to State Senator Kelda Roys of Wisconsin. She's running for governor of Wisconsin. Tell us what inspired you. What are some of the factors that led you to make this decision to run for governor?
When I looked around the country at this moment of crisis, I see Trump losing in two places. Number one, it's lower courts. He gets sued for breaking the law, and lower court judges are handing victories to people who are suing Trump. The second place is governors who are standing up to him in Democratic states. Wisconsin is a critical swing state. We need to have a governor with a spine of steel who is willing to use every tool in her arsenal to stop the harms that Trump is bringing upon our people. And Wisconsin can and should have a governor like that, just like J.B. Pritzker in Illinois and other governors around the country. But secondly, Wisconsin's been under a right-wing gerrymander, right-wing Republican legislature for 15 years, for a whole generation. And now we are on the cusp of finally flipping the legislature blue. And so I'm sick of seeing Democrats who get power and then don't actually use it to make people's lives better. I've spent my whole life, 25 years, in and around state government as a lawyer and a small business owner and a nonprofit person, making that change and delivering. I want to be governor at this moment because now it is possible for Wisconsin to really make transformational change and get away from this right-wing nonsense that has been strangling our communities for the last 15 years.
We are talking to, again, as I mentioned, Senator Kelda Roys, and I want folks to visit keldaroys.com if you want to learn more about her campaign. I want to take a break here and talk to you about some of the policies that you are running on, including school funding and health care. Yeah. Those are two of the things I know a lot of people want to know more about. We do reach Wisconsin. Folks, if you have a question, if you live in an area, or if anybody who wants to join our conversation, you call or text 773-763-9278. I know we got a lot of friends listening in Racine, Kenosha, in Elkhorn. Some of the folks up there have been so gracious by coming out to see us when we broadcast up there. So you're welcome to join anybody. 773-763-9278. And I have more to ask our guest. Again, Senator Kelda Roys. It's keldaroys.com, KELDAROYS.com. We'll take a break here and continue our conversation. Thank you so much for hanging in there, for hanging out with us, ma'am. I appreciate it.
Of course.
Let's take a break here, and we'll continue on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal, KKNW 1150. And, of course, our friends listening are, I have to talk more about Minneapolis, St. Paul, so we'll talk a little bit more about that, too. Our friends in Minneapolis, St. Paul, I know you're going through a lot. We are here with you. We love you, and please know if there's anything we can do, please reach out to email us. You can reach me at P. Vasquez, that's P. Vasquez, at WCPT820.com. More in a moment.
A better life with Dr. Sanjay Gupta.
Insomnia isn't just something that keeps you up at night and makes you feel tired the next day. According to a new study out of the Mayo Clinic, it could, if left untreated, put you at higher risk of dementia. Good sleep is vital for good brain health in many ways, according to the lead researcher. Sleep helps clear the synapses you don't need so your brain isn't overloaded. Research also suggests that as the day goes on, waste accumulates in the brain that sleep helps clear out, he said. One neurologist we spoke to added this: sleep is essential for memory consolidation, emotional regulation, and overall brain recovery. I've given you this advice before, but as a reminder, you should practice good sleep hygiene. Try it tonight. Keep your room quiet, dark, cool, and screen-free. And if you are still having trouble, you should talk to your doctor. I'm Dr. Sanjay Gupta, helping you live a better life.
By texting 64,000, you agree to receive recurring automated marketing messages from IQ Bar. Message and data rates may apply. No purchase required. Terms apply. Available at eatiqbar.com/policy/terms of service.
I've got good news and bad news. Here's the bad news. Most protein bars are packed with sugar and unpronounceable ingredients. The good news? There's a better option. I'm Will, and I created IQ Bar plant protein bars to empower doers like you with clean, delicious, low-sugar brain and body fuel. IQ Bars are packed with 12 grams of protein, brain nutrients like magnesium and lion's mane, and zero weird stuff. And right now, you can get 20% off all IQ Bar products, plus free shipping. Try our delicious IQ Bar sampler pack with 7 plant protein bars, 4 hydration mixes, and 4 enhanced coffee sticks. Clean ingredients, amazing taste, and you'll love how you feel. Refuel smarter, hydrate harder, caffeinate larger with IQ Bar.
Now you can get 20% off all IQ Bar products, plus free shipping when you text IQ Bar to 64,000. Text IQ Bar to 64,000 to get your 20% off. That's IQ Bar to 64,000.
Because facts matter. You are listening to WCPT 820.
Union Strong Chicago continues to lead the way with progressive values and in preserving democracy. Your support of the Minocqua Brewing Company Super PAC efforts in Wisconsin and beyond strengthens the fight against MAGA Republicans. You can now purchase progressive beers like Labor Lager, Love Wins Fruited Sour, and the Resistance IPA in Chicago at Rogers Park Provisions, Diversity Beer, Wine and Spirits in Lakeview, Park West Liquor, Wine and Beer in Lincoln Park, Logan Square Liquors, and Tip Top Food and Liquors in Westtown. Visit MinocquaBrewingCompany.com for all their Chicagoland locations. As always, no matter how bad our sports teams are, please drink responsibly. I really need to change that, and I don't mean any disrespect to our Wisconsin guest, but the Bears are doing great, so I don't have to. I have to change our ad. We are on the line with State Senator Kelda Roys, who is serves what district in Wisconsin? I apologize, I don't have that in front of me.
It's the 26th district serving Dane County, which is the Madison area, UW-Madison, and the capital. And
have you had a chance, by the way, to stop by the Minocqua Brewing Tap Room in Madison? It's fantastic. I highly recommend.
I've actually been to the one in Minocqua.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, we love having them as sponsors. So it's good stuff. My favorite is now it has been, always will be, the Gulf of Mexico Mexican lager is what I'll be enjoying this weekend. But back to our conversation, we want to make sure people know what you're running on. We've talked about some of the things that you find absolutely appalling about what's going on with ICE agents and the federal actions that are endangering so many people. And we want to, there are things that people really do need in their lives. I think that healthcare is the crisis of my generation, of our generation, and not just as I get older as a Gen Xer. And I care for both my mother, who is 91, and my son, who is severely disabled. So your health care plan is getting attention for being different from what other Democratic candidates are proposing. So can you walk our listeners through what makes your plan unique and why you think it's the best approach for Wisconsin?
Absolutely. absolutely. And I'll tell you, I got my start in healthcare advocacy running a reproductive rights nonprofit. So this is really personal for me. I'm a single payer person. I think it's crazy that we spend so much money and have such poor outcomes to cover so few people. So really the goal is, how do we cover the most people with high quality, affordable insurance? Now, Wisconsin never expanded Medicaid, and so we've got a huge portion of the population that is uninsured or underinsured, and even more about to lose their health insurance because of the Republican changes made at the federal level. My plan would open up the great state employee health insurance plan that I enjoy as a senator, and every state employee does, to anybody to buy in. So if you as a small business owner, or another person as an individual, or even the head of a big manufacturing company is tired of those massive premium hikes that they're getting from their private for-profit insurance company, they can buy into the state plan, where we have great high-quality health insurance provided by nonprofit insurers that are owned by providers, so owned by the hospitals and doctors that are actually providing the care. And so all of that money is going back into the care, not to the profits of a hedge fund or investors. And to me, that is the best way from the middle out to build Wisconsin's health security and to free people from the trap of having to stay in a job that they don't like, or they want to retire, but they have to stay because they need the health insurance. Let's give people that freedom, the freedom to thrive, the freedom to have health security that isn't connected to their job.
One of our listeners texted in that the next governor is going to face some budget uncertainty. So how does your plan lower costs regardless of what the state budget balance looks like?
Well, the most important way we lower costs is for the families, right? Because, anybody who has private insurance understands that they have high premium costs and that their employers are paying huge amounts if they're lucky enough to have employer-sponsored coverage. So allowing people to buy into the state health plan will be, in almost all cases, cheaper for people than the private insurance that they have. And on the employer side, I'm a small business owner myself. And if I were able to buy health insurance like I was a big company or like I was the state, I would pay less than I do, because you're spreading the risk out for more people. So when you can basically be a part of a big pool, the costs are lower, the administrative costs and the risk. And so it will save money for folks in most circumstances if they were to buy into the state plan. But it's voluntary, right? My plan doesn't force anybody to come off of the insurance that they have if they like it.
Right. And that's the thing. I mean, these arguments I get in with people, are there any other states that are utilizing a plan that you envision for Wisconsin?
Well, I think that there are states that have experimented with universal health care in various ways, right? Massachusetts and Vermont. And it's becoming clear that states are going to need to lead the way because the federal government is busy taking away health care from people. So all of us have a stake. I mean, ultimately, I would love to see Wisconsin be part of an upper Midwest coalition for public health, where we pool our purchasing power to get lower prescription drug prices, where we pool our information and our research so that we can make scientific advances and still offer great public health services to our residents, with the federal government basically being an adversary in that task, unfortunately.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, do you have a number? I know in Illinois we have about 9 rural hospitals that are vulnerable to close under the cuts that might be coming down the pipeline at the federal level. What does it looking like in Wisconsin?
In Wisconsin, the picture is very, very bleak. We are a rural state, and we've already seen hospital closures in Chippewa Falls last year. And the Republicans I serve with in the legislature basically shrugged their shoulders. They did nothing. Even though people were losing that critical access care. And, places like where I was a little girl, there will just be no hospitals and clinics if we allow so many people to lose coverage without replacing it with something like my plan.
Oh, my God. Oh, that's horrifying. Okay, let's talk about education, because I know that's another issue that people are deeply invested in. Property taxes have become one of the most divisive issues, and not just in Wisconsin, of course. Illinois, we have our own challenges with neighbors literally pitted against each other in referendum battles. I've seen the lawn signs. I've heard all the arguments. Yeah. And you've said that this is a Republican manufactured nightmare. Can you explain that?
Yeah, so for 30 years, Republicans have functionally controlled the legislature. They've limited the amount that school districts can spend, and they took the money away. and promised to give it back to fund the schools, but they haven't done it. Instead, Wisconsin has billions of dollars in surplus in the state coffers, but school districts are starved of funds. So they have to go to their local property taxpayers and beg, hey, please pass a referendum to raise your own property taxes so that we don't have to lay off teachers, so we can keep the lights on and keep, sports and foreign language going, or in some cases, keep science teachers in the classroom. And year after year, in every district, urban, suburban, rural, wealthy districts, poor districts, that's what's happening. And so we have an unequal system where property taxpayers are pitted against schools, retirees on fixed incomes pitted against their grandkids. It's very divisive, and it's fiscally totally irresponsible, because what is more important to our economy than making sure that every kid gets a good opportunity to be educated and to thrive?
Absolutely. I know that there's a lot, the charter school situation has also been catastrophic for public schools in places like Wisconsin.
Yep.
So tell us a little about, can you give us some of the specifics about what you would do in day one to start addressing the challenges in education in Wisconsin?
Well, I'm a mom and stepmom of 5, and I've got 3 kids still at home in public schools. So this is really important for me. Number one, I want to fund our public schools, and we do that by actually using state money rather than property tax money to fund schools equitably. Number two, we've got to stop this voucher scheme from stealing billions of dollars of our taxpayer money to unaccountable voucher schools, the vast majority of which are paying for kids that were already in private schools before they even started getting vouchers, right? So we're not even transferring kids out of the public school system. It's just subsidizing wealthy families who are already paying for private school. Third, we need really high standards for students and for teachers. We can't solve the problem without money, but money is not enough to help our kids and our schools thrive. I really believe schools are the heart of our community. And if we want them to thrive, we need to set them up for success with high standards and with the tools that they need to get there. So that means adequate prep time and teacher development. It means restoring collective bargaining so teachers actually have a voice and are treated like the professionals that they are and not just like people stamping out widgets, right? These are incredible people that are shaping young lives, and they ought to be respected and treated as one. And I'd love to get the tech distractions out of the classroom so that kids can actually focus on the fundamentals, right? Reading, writing, critical thinking, all the things they're going to need to be great, productive citizens.
Again, we've been talking to State Senator Kelda Roys, who serves Dane County in her seat and is now running for Wisconsin governor. You're running, as we close out the segment, and again, thank you so much for your time. You're running in a 7-person Democratic primary. Tell folks, because Wisconsin is going to have a tremendous amount of scrutiny in this election season running into the midterms. What makes you the right person to not only stand up to the Trump administration, but also take on all the challenges that we've been discussing and beyond?
I am the candidate that has demonstrated the courage and the confidence to be our next governor. I have the most experience in and around state government, actually delivering on progressive change in every type of legislative environment, and I'm the only candidate that can really say that. But I've also shown that I am willing to stand up to bullies and billionaires, whether it's Trump or Elon Musk or the special interests that try to dominate the legislature. I'm tired of Democrats who have power but then don't wield it. I want to see Democrats using our power to make people's lives better. That's why I'm running for governor. And if folks in Illinois want to see a neighbor to the north that is a partner in that effort, a partner in saving our democracy and standing up to this Republican regime, I urge them to support me in this primary, because this is not a situation where all the Democrats are the same and any Democrat will do. I am the progressive who can actually win the primary and win the general election. And that is really what we need if we want to have our strongest champion able to make change in Wisconsin and help bring our country back from the brink of this crisis.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that, for taking on the challenge of running to lead your state and serving your communities. We look forward to talking to you again. If there's anything that comes up that you want to share with our audience, please don't hesitate. Again, that's State Senator Kelda Roys. The website is keldaroys.com. She's running for Wisconsin governor, and I really have appreciated this conversation, your perspective and your expertise, and I wish you the very best.
Thank you, Patty. This has been wonderful.
Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you. Have a good night. Go get them.
You too. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Let's take a break here. The phone lines are open and the text screen is available to you, 773-763-9278. That's the number to call and join our conversation by phone or text, actually. 773-763-9278. More in a moment on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal, KTNF AM 950, Minneapolis, St. Paul. Hi, Minneapolis. We love you. And we love you, too, in Seattle on KKNW 1150. More in a moment on our channel. Also, you can live stream. We're on Facebook and YouTube. Right back after this.
You're listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Ray Miller. Cloudy skies tonight with scattered snow showers, a low temperature of 27 degrees with winds out of the northwest at 10 to 20 miles an hour. Wednesday, snow showers with a high temperature of 29 and northwest winds at 15 to 30 miles an hour. Thursday, sunshine, high temperature of 27. Friday, snow likely with a high of 37. Saturday, chance of snow with a high temperature around 21 degrees. That's the latest Chicago weather update. Right now, it's 44.
This is Chicago's Progressive Talk, 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and online at WCPT820.com, where facts matter.
Are you looking for more in this world? Are you ready for something bigger? Then we are looking for you. The big-hearted, the bold, the messy and the gutsy, the teachers, the growers, the builders, the skilled, the sharers, the change makers. We need you. We are the Peace Corps. In more than 60 countries, we go all in and all out. We are volunteers, partners, communities, working together, living together, bringing our experience, passion, and joy to building a better world together. From tackling climate change in Mexico to keeping kids healthy in Kenya, from sustainable farming in the Philippines to education in Kosovo. We learn more, give more, share freely, and serve boldly. Are you ready to tackle the tough stuff? To go the distance to make a difference? Then we have a place where you belong. Join us at peacecorps.gov.
As farmers and ranchers, stewardship of the land comes naturally. Your work keeps our water clean, improves the soil, and enhances wildlife habitat. It also provides countless benefits, not just for you and your family, but for millions of Americans who depend on this region every day without even realizing it. Thank you for being stewards of America's prairie for all of us. Take a moment to find out how conservation pays. Visit conservationpays.org.
Hey Google, play WCPT.
Streaming Chicago's Progressive Talk from TuneIn.
If you're listening to this station right now, you've definitely heard my voice before. Hi, I'm Hawk.
And I'm Pete. And we're with Source Solar, your local source for solar. Source Solar is Chicagoland's premier solar installer, providing solutions for over 1,000 homeowners and business owners across Illinois and Iowa.
With over a decade of industry experience and deep roots here in Chicago, we have the expertise to help your transition to clean, renewable, resilient energy.
We can guarantee that we save you money day one without any out-of-pocket cost to you. This means you have an instant ROI, instant payback, and can save money to add to your bottom line day one.
At Source Solar, we source everything as local as possible, meaning we always carry the Made in USA sticker.
Find us online at www.source.solar. Stop in our office at 5710 Northwest Highway or give us a call at 773-985-3992.
And don't forget to ask for Hawk
or Pete.
Patti Vasquez is taking your calls now.
We need to speak out about this.
At 773-763-9278.
Hello, hello.
It's Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez.
Thank you so much for joining us on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal, KKNW 1150 in Seattle, KTNF AM 950 in Minneapolis, St. Paul, where I agree with Tom Hartman. He was talking earlier, I think today or yesterday, about how it does feel as though this administration, the ICE agents, Bavino, the way they have gone into the cities to cause chaos and have wreaked violence on our neighborhoods, that they've ramped it up. They've wanted a situation that led to violence. They thought that they, and I But here's the thing: they did kill somebody here. They shot a woman 5 times who they lied about the situation that revolved around. They said that she had boxed them in, that they were ambushed. That turned out to all be lies because there was evidence from the body cams, and then he was bragging about it. He was texting people because he's a shooting instructor. At any rate, what I'm saying is that whether it was Los Angeles, Portland, Chicago, Memphis, New Orleans, and I know that there have been instances in other parts of the country, but he's obviously targeting blue cities. He wants to create chaos. I know folks have been talking about martial law. If you have a chance, if you are on social media, Angela's Mild Takes, she does a really good job. She's got a lot of, information at hand when it comes to history and in politics and the government. And she says she doesn't think it's going to be martial law that's not what he's going for. It's the Insurrection Act, which he's actually mentioned before. And so, the fear, of course, a lot of people have is our upcoming elections. But I don't think that we can back down. And I know that that's scary. So in whatever way you feel comfortable and safe, because the things that we're seeing in Minneapolis, the ways in which people are being attacked. There's a woman from here, and I wish I could remember her name, but there's a lawyer who does a lot of work with migrants who are being detained, or not even, because I don't know how to stress this enough to our hate listeners, to the folks online, that they are not going in. I mean, how can you tell me that every single person that they have apprehended, detained, sent to other detention centers, that they're not going in with some sort of like precision? They're simply not. They're not showing up with warrants. They're not showing up. And I'm not saying every single instance. Do they absolutely know they're, coming after people based on their license plates and driver's license, their addresses, things like that? But we also know, we've seen it. You can't okay. I'm going to go off and just start screaming because there was one woman who got caught up, right? Initially, I wondered if Renee Good was on that block for whatever reason. She got caught up. I didn't know the circumstances. I did not leap to any conclusions online. I didn't jump to any of that stuff. Maybe I mentioned that she was, I thought that maybe she was in front of her house. I did not. We still don't know the extent to which she participated, because her wife said that she asked her to drive her there, whether it's something that she routinely did. Now, by the way, don't even get me started on how there will not be a DOJ investigation into Jonathan Price, the shooter, who has a history of working in an organization in which agents purposely walk in front of vehicles in order to justify using lethal force on the driver. I'm sorry, but that is absolutely true. There was an investigation by the Border Patrol to investigate. It was over 65 cases between 2010 and 2012. Not even that long of a period of time where they found over 65 instances where agents did that. And they actually have now policy for, and this is general. And I've talked to law enforcement experts, including Carmen Navarre-Jacone, where the policy, one, is to not put yourself in danger, to walk in front of a vehicle that may start to move at any moment, that you should be creating distance, de-escalate. And the other, there's so many elements of it, but also to not shoot at a moving vehicle. And if the vehicle does move, to do everything possible to avoid being hit, which we can see from the video he had plenty of time to do, to just step out of the way. By the way, they hit a pedestrian or a protester in Minneapolis. The car sideswiped a human being. And so my question is, because there is open carry in a lot of places, I don't know what Minnesota's laws are. So now if we feel that we're in danger by a vehicle, are we supposed to open fire? Is it because we now say that it's a weapon? If I've been hit by a car twice, and I hate talking about that because it was so random both times. One time I was 10 or 11 years old. I was on Northwest Highway. I had a 10-speed bike. And oh no, you know what? It was my pink Huffy. It was my pink Thunder. That was how that bike ended. I was crossing the crosswalk. By the way, in Chicago, it is legal for kids to be on the sidewalk. I was crossing at the crosswalk, and a car taking a right turn ran into me and pinned me under the wheels. Fortunately, the bike was more pinned. I was pinned under the bike as the bike was pinned down under the wheels of the car. And then I used to be a waitress at the Cactus on Wells near Congress, and folks who come flying down Wells and take a right onto Congress. And honestly, I thought I looked, and there was a car coming, but he had a red light. So you make the assumption that cars are going to stop at the red light. I don't know how he didn't see me. I had to dive out of the way, and he stopped on my foot. It was an SUV on my foot with fractures and strain. It was a lot. Both times, obviously when I was 10, I did not, just as like, what? Basically my brain was like, what is happening? In my 20s, I certainly didn't think, well, if only I'd had a gun. Like, I don't understand. It just seems like getting out of the way. And again, I know there's a lot of hate listeners, but let's not break it down anymore. Okay, what did I want to say? It's so much. At any rate, there was a woman in Minneapolis who she does say she was not even involved in any of the tracking the agents. She wasn't following anybody. She was trying to get to an appointment, and they broke her window, cut her seatbelt, and dragged her out. There were teenagers that we've talked about yesterday who were at Target. They were working there. One of them started filming. He was 17 years old. They pinned him down on the ground. They were beating him. We can see them doing this. They apparently drove him around for 8 blocks and then just dumped him out of the car because they had nothing to charge him with. This is what's happening. All right. I'm sorry, Minneapolis. And thank you for all the work that you're doing and showing up for your neighbors and the people who are vulnerable in your communities. Has anybody seen the exchange that apparently Trump was at a Ford factory today speaking to the workers and the CEOs and all that stuff. And apparently somebody yelled at him as he was up on some walkway. An employee yelled out, "Pedophile protector!" And he turned around and flipped him off. And I think it's a good reminder that they have only released 1%, you guys, 1% of the Epstein files. And of course, now they want to subpoena the Clintons. That's all. They only want to subpoena the Clintons. And okay. Anyway, so yeah. Have we ever had a president that flipped somebody off? Because remember, there was a woman who was fired from her job. She was out running, and the what is it, the caravan, whatever, the Trump, all the cars were coming by, and she flipped them off, and her employer fired her. I wish you guys had done the same with this guy. Just saying. At any rate, somebody flipped him off. Oh, he flipped off. Because he's classy. I don't know what's happening. He gave a speech, by the way, if you get a chance. Apparently, there's this moment where he kind of makes these weird grunting sounds and like yawning. And apparently there's some context to it, but it doesn't look good. But we do need to talk about, all the things that are dominating the headlines, but buried underneath all this chaos. Donald Trump promised during the campaign. He promised everybody to release the Epstein files, made a big show of it, said he was going to expose the truth. The establishment didn't want you to see. Congress passed a law. He signed it. And of course, the deadline has come and gone. And the DOJ admits they've released less than 1% of the documents. That's 1% out of more than 2 million documents. So, folks, give me a call, 773-763-9278. What do you think? What do you think's going to come of this? Is he going to continue to just stall this? Are the DOJ stalling? By the way, I believe it's now up to half a dozen DOJ attorneys who have resigned because they are not investigating Jonathan Ross. Is that good or bad? Because I do wonder if these folks want to do something, could they do something from the inside? Is there? I'm just saying, just muck it up from the inside. Do something from the inside, because now I'm sure they can go off and get lucrative jobs somewhere else. I don't. Okay, let's take a break here and I'm going to pull my thoughts together. 773-763-9278. That's the number to call and join our conversation. Hi to our friends who are finding us on Facebook and YouTube. Oh, please follow WCPT's Facebook page. You can now become a subscriber for 99 cents a month. And we have some great deals coming up for our followers on Facebook. So again, it's going to be a subscription for just 99 cents a month. Visit us at WCPT, Chicago's Progressive Talk, and Heartland Signal on Facebook. Please also subscribe. And you know what? You can also follow the Patti Vasquez Show page. We have, since Friday, I don't know how to tell you this, but we've gained 5,000 new followers, and the conversation is great. Yes, there are trolls out there. I'm working to make sure we thin them out, and when they pop their little heads up, I just pop them, and I say, block, a block, a block, a block, a block. More after this on WCPT 820, Heartland Signal, KKNW 1150, and KTNF AM 950. Thank you, everybody.
Stephanie Miller.
Bob Cesca joins us now.
Oh, God, shut down the internet. Can we just shut it down? We just got to unplug it. We need a timeout from the internet.
Yeah.
All of American society. I think, you know what? I say that half jokingly, but the other half is like, yeah. As someone who worked his entire career on the internet, I feel like we just weren't evolved enough. We weren't ready when it came along. Came along way too soon.
Stephanie Miller, weekday mornings 8 to 11 on WCPT 820.
If you're drowning in debt, you need to call Team Hochberg, your trusted local lender, about a fresh start debt consolidation refinance. Today, meet Jordan, 47, project manager, married to Jackie, 43, executive assistant, combined income 260 G's a year, living in a $600,000 home with their 3 kids, called to pay off $120,000 worth of credit card debt, high interest rate consumer loans, and 2 401k loans. Team Hochberg loan officer Cindy Piazza helped Jordan and Jackie pay off their debt, eliminated their stress with the Team Hochberg Fresh Start Debt Consolidation Refinance, which saved them over $12,000 a year. Team Hochberg's helped thousands of radio listeners, but we can't help if you don't call 855-563-2843 or visit 56david.com. That number again is 855-563-2843 or visit that website you know and love, 56david.com. Lower.com, equal housing lender, MLS 1124061.
Loved one owns a gun, and you're concerned about their behavior. You're worried they might harm themselves or others. You wish more than anything you could hit pause on this situation. In Illinois, a firearm restraining order does just that. In extreme cases, this order temporarily prevents a person in crisis from having a firearm, giving them time to heal before they do something dangerous. Learn more at illinois.gov/pause to heal. Brought to you by the Illinois Department of Public Health, Brady and the Ad Council.
WCPT 820, Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter.
Patti Vasquez is taking your calls now.
All right, let's hit it.
At 773-763-9278.
I got a lot to say.
It's Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez.
Thank you so much for joining us to continue our conversation ahead into the home stretch. Don't forget, our friends at Minocqua Brewing Company should be your beers of choice for the Bears game this weekend. By the way, I just want to remind you, Minocqua Brewing Company doing a great job of bringing vendors and artists together on their marketplace at MinocquaBrewingCompany.com, as well as writers. I have a piece up that is making the rounds. I want to thank everybody. I don't know why that article in particular seems to have caught on with folks. I think it's the door to door. I wrote about how J.D. Vance has now said that once they have more ICE agents online, they're going to start going door to door. We're seeing in Minnesota, in Minneapolis, where they're busting down doors without a warrant, bringing in a sheet of paper that has been signed by some ICE official, not a signed warrant by a judge. You need a judicial warrant to enter a property. And they busted down this door, this horrified family, this mother begging them, they're coming in with weapons, mocking her, flashing a flashlight in her face so that she can't use her phone, which she was able to. You can see that video at heartlandsignal.com's, all their social media pages, and I also did a commentary on that. But Minocqua Brewing Company, make sure that we can continue to have these conversations and share with you what's going on. And I wrote a piece called Next Up Door to Door. Ben Cominos has a piece up today as well. So I encourage you to check out both of our articles as well as all the other great writers. Chris Taylor wrote a great piece about how we're on the knife's edge, that we're about to this is either a dark bump in the road or we slip into fascism. I don't want to. Let me get to Jeff. Jeff and Elgin. Hey, Jeff, what's on your mind, my friend?
Hattie, you are fired up, girl, and I understand.
Yeah.
I take issue with the DOJ lawyers who quit.
Yeah.
I take issue with that because if you're that principled, if you strongly believe that there is wrongdoing happening, that things are being covered up or hidden, stay. Make them fire you, honestly. Resigning gets you what? We need allies on the inside. We need people that are able to whistleblow, leak, sabotage if necessary, right? Like, we need someone heroic to stick around because we heard for the last 4 years all these people with their book deals talking about how well they had to stick around through the first Trump campaign.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, for the first Trump administration. They were the only ones saving us from Trump's bad influence and his worst impulses and blah, blah, blah. Where are those people now? It seems like they've all jumped ship. And I also have to point out, ICE is on such a hiring binge. There have got to be some people out there who are like, oh, what did I get myself into?
Right.
Why am I here? Oh, my God, I made a mistake. They need to leak. They need to whistleblow. They need to share the tea. There is no NDA. There is no employment agreement. There is no contract on the face of this earth that supersedes the Constitution. So if they know the law is being broken, the Constitution is being violated, or there's any kind of fraud or corruption, again, it's their duty to report that, not to go along with it, not to hide it. And there's nothing in their contract agreement or their contract or work agreement that can prevent them from sharing that. That doesn't trump the law. You can't sign your rights away to hide fraud or hide corruption. The whole thing it frustrates me to no end. If I were younger, you better believe I would be a dude. I would be one of the dudes that signed up for ICE recruitment for my bonus, and I would be taking copious notes, and you would be getting leaked info and thumb drives and blah, blah, blah of everything I came across, because there's no way, no how I wouldn't have my eyes wide open going into that. But, I'm pushing 50, and I'm probably not the one that's going to take those risks.
So by the way, I understand that emotion. I like when I was younger, I don't know if you heard me talk about this yesterday. I applied for the Chicago Police Department after 9/11. So I had that instinct. It was either that or the Coast Guard, but I had just gotten married. I wanted to have kids, and being a cop seemed like a good way to do that. But
you come home at night when you're a cop, at least, right?
Right, right. But I do want to tell you something. So there is a story that was broken today that a Department of Homeland Security whistleblower has leaked personal data on approximately 4,500 ICE, Border Patrol, and DHS employees to a website called ICE List, and it's considered one of the largest data breaches in the department's history. I'm reading this right now for you. The leak was prompted by the fatal shooting of Renee Nicole Good, apparently. And according to the ICE List founder, the shooting was the last straw for many people within the government.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Did not catch that. It's terrible, but it's good to know that there's someone out there who's at least thinking in that way. And I'm honestly less concerned with who these people are right now because they're on the payroll, right?
Yep.
So we'll be able to track them down with their records at some point when it comes time for the Nuremberg trials. But what I want to know is these policy documents, these memorandums, these trainings, what is this 47 days of training they're getting? Well, what is that training comprised of, and what are they actually teaching you in the classroom or in the exercise? What are they saying? Are they getting little rah-rah pep speeches from Stephen Miller about how to do this and why to do that and all of that? Those are the things I really am so surprised have not come out already, because they're on such a hiring binge. Their vetting process, we know, is terrible. So there's got to be some people in there who are feeling a certain sort of way about how things are going down, who maybe don't know that they should leak or how to do it, or I don't know. It baffles me. But love you as usual. Stay hydrated. Thanks for having me on.
Hold on, where's my cup of water? Thank you, Jeff. Have a good evening. Appreciate it.
You too. Bye-bye.
Take care. I agree. I was thinking, I've thought about this occasionally, and I thought about this even during Trump's first administration. And there are people who came forward even during his term in office. And then there were people who worked from within. We know that General Kelly has talked about slow walking things. But there's, there's so many things happening. We haven't even talked about Greenland. Yesterday on the plane, he said that he couldn't let Russia or China take Greenland, even though they have not made any sort of indication that that's what they want to do. And then he said, that Greenland's only being defended by 2 dog sleds. You guys, we have an active military base. U.S. military in Greenland. They're including monitoring any Russian nuclear activity. There's a whole map. You can look it up online. There are military bases that we could actually reoccupy. Denmark has said, you want to have more of a military presence. Let's have that conversation. And instead, he's like, first, we're going to buy people. We're going to buy, give them $10,000 to $100,000. Hi, folks. It's a $38 trillion. Am I yelling? It's a $38 trillion. Should I do? You know what? Instead of yelling, should I do ASMR? It's a $38 trillion deficit, including increases in. That's not really. I can't do to camera. Yeah. So he either wants to buy people off in order to take Greenland, or he wants to stay with the military. But the military. So how does it? And then you then violate the deal that you have. The only reason that we have a presence in Denmark is because of NATO. So if you violate that, then we become an enemy of NATO. And it also dissolves the treaty for us to have that. So if it doesn't work out, then we also no longer have a relationship with Greenland. And the other thing is, one of the things he said, there's a great, and I can't remember all the social media content creators that I follow, but there's a woman, she's an instructor, and her entire classroom wall, I mean, the whole, like a big wall of the map of the world, right? Because he says that because he can't let Russia be that close to the United States, and he has to have Greenland. And this woman's brilliant. She said because the map is flat. He goes, is it because he doesn't realize that the planet is round? And if you wrap that map around Greenland, so Greenland is 1,500 miles from the continent, right? From the northern continent of North America, and Russia's 50 miles from Alaska. So we're already close. Do you remember the Nutball's lipstick on a pig? Sarah Palin, as much as we made fun of her, she said she could see Russia from her porch because it's 50 miles away. I gotta go. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Thank you to our sponsors, Pride Coffee Roasters, Source Solar, and Minocqua Brewing Company. We'll be back tomorrow. I'll try. I don't know if I'll be yelling. Love you, Lady B. Good night, everybody.
WCPT 820 will be hosting a candidate forum for the 3 leading candidates for Illinois' OpEd